power in New York City is not given, it is taken. It is an empire of steel, of money, and of political machines that have ruled the world's most powerful city for 100 years. And yet, that empire was challenged, not by another king, not by a billionaire, but by a nobody, a 34-year-old housing counselor, the son of immigrants, born in Uganda. This is the story of how he did the impossible. This is the Genesis file, Zohran Mamdani. Zohran's story doesn't begin in New York. It begins in Kampala, Uganda, in 1991. He was born into a lineage of intellect and art. His mother, Mira Nair, the celebrated Oscar-nominated filmmaker behind Salam Bombay and Monsoon Wedding. His father, Mahmoud Mamdani, a renowned academic and author, a voice for truth in the post-colonial world. At 7 years old, Zohran's family moved to New York City an immigrant. A child of two worlds, carrying an African past, an Indian heritage, and the dream of belonging in America's toughest city. But this was the era after 9/11, when being Muslim in America wasn't just an identity, it was a burden. He didn't seek the spotlight. He grew up in Queens, graduated from Bronx Science, and saw another New York, not the skyline, but the struggle. He became a housing counselor, fighting for families on the edge of eviction. He wasn't a politician. He was an advocate, fluent in the language of injustice. He saw who the Goliaths were, the developers, the landlords, the machine that protected them all. Then, in 2020, the quiet fighter decided to shout. He ran for state assembly in a district held by the same political dynasty for decades. The machine laughed. He was a 28-year-old democratic socialist with no money, no power, and no chance. But he outworked, out-hustled, and outsmarted the establishment, and in a stunning upset, he won. He shattered his first ceiling, becoming the first South Asian man ever elected to the New York State Assembly. The first Goliath had fallen. But now, the empire was watching. When Zohran announced his campaign for mayor, the empire struck back, and the attacks weren't on his policies. They were on his identity. Opponents unleashed digital poison. He was branded a terrorist sympathizer, a jihadist. Even former Governor Andrew Cuomo joined in, laughing on air as a host joked that Zohran would cheer for another 9/11. It wasn't politics. It was a battle for his right to exist. But instead of hiding, Zohran fought back. He released a powerful speech about growing up Muslim in post-9/11 New York. He turned hate into defiance and even running campaign ads in Arabic. He didn't run from his identity. He ran on it. And on November 4th, 2025, the nobody from Queens did the impossible. He didn't just win. He toppled a dynasty. He broke the machine. He shattered the ceiling. Zohran Mamdani, the son of Ugandan and Indian immigrants, the housing counselor from Queens, became the first Muslim and first South Asian mayor of New York City. In his victory speech, he looked at the city that once attacked him and now embraced him. He said, "No longer will New York be a city where you can traffic in Islamophobia and win an election." His Genesis file isn't just political, it's deeply human. A story of identity, of resilience, of a generation tired of the old rules. He proved that even the darkest days can be defeated. He proved that a nobody from Queens could rise to lead the most powerful city in the world. Every empire has its hidden architects. Every revolution, its unlikely heroes. More hidden origin stories are coming. Subscribe because the next file opens soon.